little bit of an upper. We had some downers, but a little bit of an upper.
Yeah.
Not just what Trump's taken. So this was an interesting video that goes on Biden not winning. Like, part of the reason that I wouldn't vote for Biden in the general is, why would I sacrifice my integrity to vote for someone who's going to lose? That's kind of what it comes to. And that's what a lot. I remember in 2016, I did not vote for Hillary because I was like, I'm in Illinois, so it doesn't really matter. I don't even have to worry about the swing state argument. But second, we were one of the only networks that was like, yeah, Trump's going to win. Trump and Hillary, Trump's going to win. So why would I cast away my integrity, the perception of honor, to compromise and give up for someone who's utterly corrupt that won't win? And the video we're about to show you talks a little more detail about that, but a little more. Let's start with the video.
All right, let's play it.
Supporting
and
me.
today, he tweeted that Biden has to apologize for what was said here. By the way, Hillary Rosen doesn't work for the campaign. She endorses him. But she doesn't work for the campaign.
Hold on, Chris. Come on. A lot of the quote-unquote Bernie bros who are rightly accused of being toxic or using bad language, they don't work for Bernie either. But the media and a lot of the Democrat candidates insisted Bernie take responsibility for them. So I'm not sure why there's a double standard in play here. I think we need to be very clear. Let's be consistent. She may not work for the Biden campaign, but I think everyone needs to denounce bad things when they happen in this race, especially on a high-profile primetime show like yours.
You are exactly right. Well argued, as expected.
All right, let's go to part two.
Yeah, we have part two.
All right.
The quote-unquote establishment. He got support from actual ordinary grassroots Democrats, especially black voters across the country, who said this is the guy who can beat Trump. Now, that needs to be tested. He's now the front runner again. When Bernie was the front runner, that needed to be tested. It needs to be tested now. I'm worried he's not being tested. There's this weird assumption that, yes, compared to Bernie Sanders, he's definitely the electable guy. Forget Sanders.
You're right. That's what I was trying to do last night. When
Let's say you hate
Stop interrupting, Fredo.
In the middle of this thing. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to say, each of you have perceived weaknesses. Let's see who deals with it better. But, I guess that central concern is, you're right. Always the primary bruises you up and someone uses it against you in the general. But this issue, what they're talking about here, it's your fundamental high ground against Trump. And you're giving it away.
I think my personal view of Biden is the problem with his candidacy, and there's many pros, but the many cons are that you give away a lot of things that you want to go after Trump about. Whether it's kind of the perception of corruption, whether it's the whole family members issue, whether it's the how coherent are they issue. I think there's a lot of issues that you throw away there. And I think that the big problem with Biden is there's this sense that, okay, he's the establishment candidate. He's, of course, the more electable guy. The problem is we in the media, Chris, and, of course, Democratic Party elites, if you want to call them that, are not very good at picking the electable guy. In 2000, Al Gore, how did that work out? In 2004, John Kerry, how did that work out? In 2016, Hillary Clinton, how did that work out? It was actually an outsider with a funny name who some people thought was from Kenya who actually won the election last for the Democrats, who wasn't actually at the time perceived as the establishment or the favorite candidate. He was seen as a risky candidate, Barack Obama, in 2008.
Sadly, the president, up until very recently, was arguing that Obama may still have some problems with where he's from. That's the
So there you have it. Fredo making only the best comebacks to really good points, which is, hey, every time we put a centrist up, they lose. It's only the people that are perceived as doing something different in the Democratic Party, some new initiative. And we talked before this, like Bill Clinton, like Paul was making a good point to me that I didn't realize. Like Bill Clinton, when he ran, what became Third Way, which became standard centrist, originally was this brand new, crazy new idea of how we do democracy in America, and he won. You have Obama promising hope and change, he wins. What's Biden promising? Paul brought up a point before the show started that there was a Twitter account and a thread that you probably explain a little bit better, where they were asking people to put 2 policy positions for Biden out there.
Yeah. Well, actually, Brainlet mentioned this on her show, and she posted on Twitter a really excellent image of this thread. I had seen the thread before, but I hadn't seen someone aggregate it quite as nicely. And the original tweet said something to the effect of, Biden supporters, name 2 of Joe Biden's policies. And the vast majority of the responses were like, he can beat Trump. He's more electable. Those aren't policies.
That doesn't work.
And the point that I made was the reason no one can name even one of his policies is he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Right? But he actually is saying fundamentally nothing will change, right? That's his stance, is the let me explain to you why we can't have nice things and why nothing will change. We need to all rally around, let's not change anything.
Yeah, and look at the like in the earlier story that I covered, look at the people who are in Biden's potential administration. I mean, these people are neoliberal, they're associated with the banks and Wall Street, and that's who Biden has surrounded himself with. I mean, things will go back to normal because then we'll have, I don't know, a president that says nice things, but all the while people are starving. There's something clearly wrong with the stock markets, and yes, it won't lead to a recession. If it continues to go south, it will become a real economic depression.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was going to say very quickly that one thing that greatly annoys me in all this is how the media has felt since Super Tuesday been like, well, that's the election. Biden's going to win. That's how it is. Not even half the delegates have been counted yet. That's going to change with the upcoming but a lot can happen, and I may sound a little bit annoyed, which I am, but a lot can change. A lot can change very quickly. Mm-hmm. All Biden has to do is drink a single beer at the wrong time, or Clot and I Joe could come back, or that we were talking before. Like I've been saying for a while that if a recession happens in the primary, that guarantees Sanders victory. But I thought it was going to come in January. So is it too late? Are people going to freak out? How fast does the stock market have to crash? Do we have to be in recession? What is that tipping point, and will it be enough?
Yeah.
And at this point, it's in the air. So the most we can do is the most we can do, which is call your kids, call people you know, especially if they're in Michigan. If they're not regular voters, do you know if you can still register to vote? Is it day of vote registering?
Well, in a lot of states, yes, that's true. Yeah. That's true here in Illinois.
But for Michigan specifically.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay, so if that's the case in Michigan, get people out to vote. They're going to adjust the polls. They're going to steal 4 or 5% of the vote. It's up to Sanders to challenge that successfully. As we've talked before, and
there's still 106
it's
delegates up
it's
for
technically
vote
possible.
available.
It's technically possible that an outside group can challenge it. But it's not like we talked with Laura Chamberlain. It'll be done after the election's done. If you're going to challenge these results, they have to be challenged now, and they have to move with a passion, and only the funding of a campaign can pull that off.
Yep. And again, too, just real quick, especially with last Super Tuesday, there's still 106 delegates that are still up for grabs, and California is still not done counting, and there's a potential of
Remember it was going to take 3 days?
Yeah, it's past 3 days now, and there is a potential risk of 553,000 votes disappearing in California,